for us on the channel again for the third video before I can go to the live saga and do another moment. Thank you so much for always paying attention to our channel, and I appreciate your presence here. We are a channel that does lessons, vlogs, political analysis, and social analysis. Thank you so much for showing up, because we are really battling through this moment to just see what the holiday will bring about. The economics are so harsh, so we really appreciate your presence here. It means a world to me. Your subscription, likes, and comments matter to me, regardless of what your perspective is. All I ask for is respectful, comments. And I really appreciate for all the moment we've been here. I thank you so much for coming in big time to watch this channel and drop your comments. I'm so appreciative, because you are coming very, strong for me. And every day I wake up, you give me a reason to come back and do a live stream or a video on this channel. Of course, I have some video I'm supposed to edit, then send it on Premiere. And I hope you'll be watching. I'll be so appreciative as you join me in the efforts to grow the channel to the heights and heights. I appreciate that currently we are at 3,200 subscribers, and we so long to have you share our videos with your friends and encourage them to keep watching. We are not here for political, verbatim, but we are simply doing analysis onto what happens, an interpretation of what it means to us as citizens, as Africans, as individuals, as human beings, So we are not paid to come here and talk about any party. We do it in our own, in our own weight and based on the research. We also consider what we are seeing on the streets and what people are sharing out there. So do not have an idea that maybe you are coming here to represent any party. We have no such efforts. And that is why I talk about Africa, America, and even other nations. I'll be digging deep into Asian nations, because I have been having people who watch me from Thailand, those who watch me from Mexico, and India, among other places. So I appreciate you a lot. And today I'm going to focus on Nigeria partly, Tanzania, and Kenya. A lot from Kenya, but basically there is much to do about Nigeria. Of course, remember, President Trump just talked about Nigeria the other day, and also considering that he has put a ban on visitors who are supposed to go to Johannesburg, and he has stopped his government officials from going there. We need to explore this matter so that it doesn't also bring sanctions or restrictions about people going to Nigeria. Of course, we saw him dropping a very scary threat to Nigeria, indicating that he will be sending his missiles or the army to get to Nigeria. Why did he say that? He said that because he was considering that in Nigeria, a lot of Christians are being killed, and he doesn't understand why this is happening. So he had to urge that either the president of Nigeria intervenes or he invades himself with the army. And of course, looking at the picture of Libya, when what you saw in Libya was a very tragic situation after the invasion of US. And we may pray that Nigeria should not be invaded, and hope that all will be well, that the president will settle whatever squabbles are happening. Now, where did Nigerian problem start? And that's why I'm just here to understand that. And if you're from Nigeria, because I normally have people watch me from Nigeria, welcome, welcome. And be very active in letting us know what is happening in Nigeria. According to my research, what I understand is that currently we have large numbers of Christians who have died in Nigeria. And according to reports, about 52,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria since 2009 by the Boko Haram group. In a period between October 2021 and September 2022, we also have a report indicating that about 5,014 Christian deaths have been reported in Nigeria. Yeah, that is roughly 89% of the global total for that period. Actually, when you look at the numbers, Those are very large numbers, you know. Another source indicates that in the year between October 2022 and September 2023, about 4,118 Christians were reportedly killed in Nigeria alone. That's a very large number again for a nation, and that is why it is raising eyebrows even for the president of US. Of course, after the announcement he did, we saw that some individuals in Nigeria were trying to riot. And I may really want to know from maybe some of you are watching me are researchers, or you have first-hand information, or you are citizens of Nigeria. Maybe you stay abroad or elsewhere, but you have information about Nigeria. Lucy, welcome on board. I have already done something to do with Nyabohanse, but I'm still here to actually look at Africa at large. Yeah, and currently Nigeria is one of the countries that is facing a lot of problems, of course, after South Africa. And remember, as South Africa hosts the G40 summit, G20 summit, we've seen the president of the US stopping its members, or rather its leaders, from going to South Africa. So looking at the numbers, I wonder what is happening, because when you look at the numbers of those who have died in Nigeria, 52,000, that's a very big number. It's a very unfortunate since 2009. And of course, when you look at 5,014 Christians dying in between October 2021 and September 2022, that's a very large number, of course, 89% compared to the global numbers. Then 4,118 Christians being killed between 2022, October, and September that is 2023. That's a lot. Stella Njaramba, welcome, and hi, welcome on board. I really appreciate for the chat and comments, and also I encourage you to subscribe to the channel as we continue growing, targeting 4,000 subscribers at the end of this month. And I believe in you. I believe in you as subscribers, as those people who watch. Stella Njaramba, I said hi, welcome on board, and thank you so much for coming here. Karibu sana. So geographically, when you look at Nigeria, you will realize that much of the violence, God bless you too, Stella. May God also bless you in your endeavors. I always appreciate and also pray that God should enable you in your endeavors and allow you to overcome any possible challenges in your life and give you strength to continue fending for your needs and necessities. So I really appreciate. Yeah, so geographically, when I look at Nigeria, you know, are the groups that are really under threat. You know, when you look at the groups under threat, then you see clearly that much of the violence is concentrated in the middle belt. If you know Nigeria quite well, you'll understand the middle belt is the part of Niger. We have the Benue and Plateau and Kaduna. Yeah, Kaduna. If you've been looking at geographical aspects of Nigeria, that is where exactly the middle belt is. Yeah, the part of Niger, Benue, Plateau, Kaduna. So those are the places which are targeted. And of course, many communities who stay in those areas, the middle belt of Nigeria, are Christians. And they overlap with the harder farmer land use, religious and ethnic conflicts. So they are facing several conflicts. We have harder farmer conflicts, we have land use conflicts, and we also have ethnic and religious conflict. That is too much, right? That is too much to bear for anybody. And I just pray for Nigeria, because when I look at this, then it's a serious disaster. Unfortunately, I don't know what is happening to Africa of late. Look at South Africa. Look at what is happening in Uganda. Look at Tanzania. Look at what happened in Cameroon. Look at what happened in Cote d'Ivoire. Look at Sudan. Now look at what is currently happening in Nigeria. It's not rosy anymore. And as people just ignore about these things, there are things that we should focus on and pray. If we really are prayer warriors and God hears us, then we'll have done the best in the world. All right, so when you look at the geographical aspect again, apart from what we are saying, the middle belt, The violent actors in Nigeria death or war are particularly militant Islamic groups, okay? Militant Islamic groups, and I think you've heard of one is Boko Haram. Boko Haram, and we also have another group called ISWAP or ISWAP. I don't know if you've heard about it earlier. And of course, we also have armed herders, yeah, from the Fulani ethnic group. So when you look at this, they always raid villages, they destroy people's property, and they kill. Can you imagine? So can you imagine you're staying in a place and you have so many groups to fight against, and you don't even have the power to fight? They'll come, attack you, and kill you, and you'll do nothing about it. Now, when you look at the impacts of these attacks, the impacts are just beyond control. And of course, I'll assure you that when you look around, of course, I showed you pictures recently. I don't know whether you remember. If you check on my channel, you'll see I talked about Nigeria the other day when I was insinuating the aspect of the president of America putting a threat on Nigeria. Now, the impact that are happening in Nigeria is that some of the situation that is happening is that there is a lot of destruction, yeah, of Christian places of worship. Churches are burned. Churches are brought down, deconstructed. It takes a long time to construct anything. Actually, if you have ever done a construction of even a toilet or a kitchen or whatever it is not easy. So now the impact that is happening, apart from death that I've mentioned, a lot of Christians are losing their churches. You know how expensive it is to build a church. Even if it's a hollow space, sometimes you have to contribute for years as members of a church before it's built. So the churches in Nigeria are being demolished. Some of them are being burnt, and not just schools, not just churches. The schools are also going through the same, and I'm trying to look for the pictures. I'll be showing you. We've also seen a massive displacement of people in Nigeria, okay? And especially the Christian communities from the rural areas, the belt region, the middle belt that I've talked about, that is Niger, Banuel, and Kaduna, all right? So there is also rising abductions of Christians in Nigeria that is happening, the rising abductions because of the Boko Haram and ISWAP group, and also the herders who are attacking the Fulani, right? So, for example, recently, we had almost 18,500 churches. Can you imagine? 18,500 churches and Christian institutions were attacked and destroyed in Nigeria. And in 2025 alone, we have more than 7,000 Christians killed. Okay? 7,000 in 1 year have fallen in Nigeria. That is an average of 32% death every day. Okay? And that is a very serious matter when we look at that. So when you see recently Trump talking about attacking, I think you understand now what's happening. Though I don't advocate for that attack that is going maybe to be launched, but how can we stop this? I've read books from Nigeria when I was still in high school. I read them when I'm in a university. And those books just spell a lot of atrocities. A lot of atrocities, separation of families, displacement, death. And that is why so many Nigerians also are abroad, because they ran away during that civil war that started over oil. But now it's coming out to be something very different. Okay? Now, the important thing to note is that there is a very complex situation around the motives and the victims, And what I can say as a researcher or an analyst is that while many Christians are the victims, they are clearly targeted in the faith and community affiliation, many analysts are saying that the driver of violence in Nigeria include land conflicts. People are fighting over land. We have herder-farmer disputes. So we have those who herd and those who farm. The crop rears. So they don't want the crop growers. So there is a conflict between that, just like something that happened in Kenya, in Pocomoland near Lamu. Something that like that happened among the groups that rear animals and those that plant crops. Now, there is also a problem of the weak governance, and that is why Trump is coming for the president of Nigeria. I don't know whether you really understand this. There is also corruption happening. Corruption is at the brim. Then we have general insecurity. I think that happens all over the place, but it's not purely religious persecution. Okay. Now, some reports also emphasize that both Christians and Muslims are victims of the violence that is happening in some regions. Yeah, making sweeping religious only explanations incomplete. You get it? So if we only pin to what is happening in Nigeria as a religious war, we are very wrong, because we have other people who are falling and they are not actually Christians. We have even Muslims who are suffering out of this. It's only unfortunate that the Middle East, as I've mentioned, the Kaduna, the place of Plateau, the Bine, and those other areas I've indicated, majorly they have a lot of Christians, but also we have some Muslims who fall in the trap of this. Therefore, calling it a radical war of the religious people, it's actually wrong. Now, data from different areas and debate also shows that while many sources report large numbers, the large numbers of the death, it's not only because of faith, there are broad areas surrounding the conflict. And the framing, actually the genocide against Christians, which has been framed, is controversial currently. Simplifying that is very difficult, because the challenge in Nigeria is a multi-layered conflict. Yeah, so in short, Christian communities in Nigeria face very serious and deadly risks, with thousands of deaths, destruction of their churches, homes, and all that, displacement. Schools are closed, abductions, forced displacement, and all that. But the full picture is actually complex, as you can see, with ethnic, economic, land use, governance issues that have to be dealt with. So, I don't know. We have to really come down to understand the Nigerian issue and explore it more. Now, let's get to the ODM aspect in Kenya. Nathan Akintunde says, yes, Southern Kaduna are predominantly Catholic, and their villages and properties has been plundered and people killed by the Islamic terrorists wanting to take over the land and the villages. Very sorry, Nathan. Very sorry. I hope you are safe. I hope you are safe. Yeah, so this is a situation that I really feel bad, There are situations you really feel bad about. You don't know how to help. And what you can do is only talk about it and also hope that God is going to intervene in a situation. Yeah, I have read a lot of books about Nigeria since time immemorial. And this Boko Haram group, I don't know what will ever be done to do away with them. And now that they have also been joined by another new group, IW, whatever, I don't just understand what will happen, Like, I fear for the lives of young people, the children that are being destroyed, the churches that are being destroyed, and even the animals and crops and all that. It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. How I wish that the government of Nigeria would have the strength to stop this. Because if they bring in, like if the US is going to intervene, it's not going to be rosy. It will be a very dangerous situation, a very tragic situation. Of course, by the end of the day, if you have ever seen Libya before war and after war, it's not a rosy situation. If you have looked at Sudan also, it's not a rosy situation. It's not something you would want in a country, But I don't know what will happen. It's so emotional, touching, but I don't know what will happen actually. And may the souls of those who have fallen in Nigeria rest in peace, but it's such a very difficult moment for anybody. So let's now come to Kenya and talk about what is happening. And maybe before that, we talk about Tanzania. Tanzania has been in the limelight for the longest time possible. And I've really mourned for Tanzania for the last 2 weeks. And it's unfortunate we are not coming to an end of Nigeria's situation at all. Because journalists are coming out to reveal very horrible situations, There is one journalist who was interviewed, and I think the fact that even some of them are running into Kenya to seek refugee already, it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes actually about Tanzania. It's unfortunate. Why should Africa be going through this? Look at Sudan. I discussed matters of Sudan the other day. Look at what happened in Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Uganda, Tanzania, and all that. It's unfortunate. And I don't know, some of us, we tend to really take it very personal that these things are happening in Africa. Africa has been a beautiful land for so many years, save for the colonialism and the invasion that happened. But now we have failed. We are failing. And I don't know why we are failing. I don't know what we can do. Why has animosity, cruelty, veracity taken over our land? I just don't get it, So let's check on Tanzania, because still, currently, we have by yesterday, they were about 340 young people. Even some of them who are underage who have been taken in for the mistake of treason. Now we've had now a situation where journalists are running for their lives and they are sharing some atrocities they have gone through. Is not the best moment. Of course, interviews have come up for Kenyans as well as Tanzania. Now, let's just listen to this.
Sasa ilipofika saa 5 watu wakaanza kuandamana. Hata sisi hatukujua wale watu walitokea wapi. Nchi ilipuka tu ghafla, watu wakaanza kuandamana. Baadaye ilipofika kama saa 7 polisi wakareact. Wakaja wakaanza na maji ya kuasha na risasi ambazo ni za rubber bullet. Lakini wananchi walizidi kuwa wengi kadri muda ulivyokuwa unaendelea. Ikabidi jeshi liingilie, polisi walizidiwa nguvu. Kuanzia saa 5 hiyo mpaka saa 7, hapo nilipokuwa wakaanza kuchoma kile kituo cha kura pale. Wale wasimamizi wa kura wakakimbia. Ina maana hakuna kura zilizopigwa pale. Sasa nchi ikawa kama giza. Wao walikuwa na shuti watu kabisa. Mimi mwenyewe nilivuka miji ya watu waliokuwa wamelala chini, wameuawa wawili, na nilichukua video zao. Nadhani hicho ndio kilichowaudhi polisi. Walinikamata hapo kama saa 7 hivi, wakanipiga. Kiangalia nina majeraha, lakini sasa yanaanza kupona. Kiangalia hapa majeraha, walinipiga, walinichoma na singe ya bunduki. Ukiangalia hapa walininyonga na kamba kwenye shingo. Walikuwa wananinyonga kwamba kwa nini namwandika mama vibaya. Nilifika kama saa 8 wakanitupa kwenye gari ya polisi. Mimi nikafikiri wananipeleka polisi. Hawakunipeleka, la hasha. Nilifika asubuhi wakanipeleka kituo cha polisi. Wakanilazimisha ni sign kwamba nilikuwa naandamana. Mimi wamenikamata na kamera. Nachukua.
Yeah, so that journalist actually shared a lot of bad moments after his arrest. His tools were taken, and at the same time, he was actually hit and by, let's say the rifle. But the police hit him with the rifle. They also had to take him in and force him to sign that he was taking part in demonstrations. He was accused of treason, and he had to escape from Tanzania to Kenya and hide his identity so that he can survive. At the same time, he shares how people are taken in. A lot of them were shot, and they could be collected at night and they could disappear. I don't know, Safaricom, if there is anyone watching me from Safaricom, please talk to Safaricom, our provider, on the part of network. Hello, is there anyone working in Safaricom watching me? Please talk to Safaricom about our network. Sometimes it just misbehaves. I don't know. Yeah, so he talks about a lot of atrocities he watched,
Videos kama kazi yangu kama mwandishi wa habari. Kwa hiyo naandamanaje. Humo ndani kulikuwa na watu wanaleta usiku, wamepigwa, lock up imejaa damu. Still wanamwaga maji, wanatulazimisha kwamba tulale. Wanajeshi wanakuja wanasema haitakiwi mtu kusimama. Inatakiwa ulale. Kwa hiyo tunalala kwenye damu ichanganya na maji. Kila saa nikieleza Kwa mambo naumia sana. Sorry. Sasa ilivyokuwa inafika usiku, wako wanakuja watu wameziba sura zao, wamevaa nguo za nyumbani, wanaita watu mmoja mmoja, toka na wanapiga.
Yeah, so that is just one among many Tanzanians that have faced a lot of atrocities in their countries and have had to escape to Kenya. And these are the moments that turn to be very, very, very animalistic. A lot of brutality, cruelty, inhumanity. I don't know. There are so many words I can use in this. Carelessness, that happens in a nation when human beings do not want to behave like human beings anymore. When beastly characteristics come to invade human beings. When our space is invaded by selfishness and the urge to continue leading. And as you can see, the trend of Sudan, Nigeria, Tanzania, and many other nations we may encounter. Actually, it's not a good encounter, and it's just a moment that we have to sit down and pray. Maybe to sit down and pray and even fast, because maybe some of us will say it doesn't affect me, but you don't know about tomorrow. You don't know. We never knew that in Kenya 2024 would be how it was. We never knew that the situation of a Sabasaba Day would be how it was. And I've seen friends who lost family in that situation. Some of them, their people are just lost not in demonstrations but in houses or on the streets. And it's not rosy. It's not rosy at all. So if we have forgotten about God, maybe we need to go back and remember that God is a provider of all this. I heard when Bob Njagi was talking, and he was indicating while in Uganda he decided to fast because he realized that the police at the forces who are near none in Uganda, they were trying to actually brutalize them through depriving them food or bringing, for example, porridge without sugar, and then waiting for them to ask, then they begin to terrorize them, or kind of ugali that is not good and terrorize them. So definitely he had to decide and fast. Can you imagine? He had to fast for 14 good days. Very tricky situation. 14 days. Can you imagine? I have never imagined that a man can fast for 14 days. From biological point of view, they normally tell us that it's only women who can fast for such a long period, but it happened. He says he had to fast for 14 good days before the release. So that tells us something. Maybe many people may not focus on that, but I really believe that sometimes when we focus on God, God will help us. Christine Iga says, may the Lord have mercy indeed. Christine Iga again says, oh yes, it's time to pray here in Uganda through AP. James Kawalia, we are praying for the 4 countries, including Kenya, Tanzania, and Sudan. Yeah, even include Nigeria on the list. Include Nigeria on the list, please, Christine, as you pray. Don't forget Nigeria in the list as one of the African nations where there are a lot of brutalities happening, innocent souls dying, the world swimming in blood. Yeah, it's so sad that we have begun to kill. Killing is not something that is just easy. Killing a human being, and you just kill like the bodies are falling. I saw the other picture. I don't want even to show it here. But it was a very sad situation when I saw the fallen bodies in Nigeria the other day. I felt so bad. I was like, I wish something could just happen miraculously, because what is happening is so bad. A lot of people are going to be born in Nigeria with trauma, or even those who are right there, those who have seen that on 1-1, they'll be traumatized. And we are going to have a generation that can be also very violent. When we keep watching these things happening, we tend to have a very violent generation, because like I'm imagining a situation where you have a child watching the mother being killed, whether they are hiding somewhere or something like that. What happens to this child when the child grows up? they are grossly emotionally unattached to anybody, and they are ready to do anything, you know. So if this trend continues in Africa, we may have beastly individuals in future, like come to Sudan, come to Tanzania, come to Uganda. If problems of brutalizing, torturing people continues, Kenya, and then look at Nigeria. At the end of the day, we'll have people who have watched very serious death situations, forced a premature death, and at the end of the day, they'll be very violent, not ready to forgive, not ready to think about what they do, you know. I'm just emotional about this, but anyway, I hope the best will be advocated for by even our governments, because sometimes our governments are the problem. They just keep quiet about it. They try to pour water on it. How do you pour water on a whole, fire that is burning from under? So they simply pour water and say everything is cool, everything is cool, until everything now comes as a bomb blast and it blasts on our face. It's unfortunate, actually. So let's now come back to our Kenyan situation. Of course, I don't know, the situation of maids coming from Kenya to work in Arabia. Of course, I've ever had a sister who went to Saudi Arabia and worked there and came back fine, and we were so appreciative to God that this happened. She was able to come back and buy some piece of land and is now doing business. Now, this is not a common situation that happens to everybody. Now, it happens that a lot of Kenyans have gone to Saudi Arabia to work. It's because Kenya is also very difficult in terms of economy. The economy in Kenya is very harsh to most families. As far as our president is convincing us that the economy has grown, the stocks have grown, the dollar has grown, actually, the reality is that the low person, the middle class and low class people are suffering in Kenya. Literally suffering to a level that there are people who are going maybe 4 months without salaries in some institutions. We also have people who are working on their farms, but at the end of the day, they don't have enough for themselves. So even these statistics about the production of maize in Kenya is now adequate and all that, I don't understand. That's when I listen to these things, I get so emotional, and sometimes I have to critique. Because the reality is that when you go to the grassroots and begin interviewing the low class and middle class in Kenya, a lot of people are suffering. And that is why we have a lot of Kenyans going to the Gulf, going to Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Kuwait. I know people who have gone to so many countries. Some of them have even gone illegally because they find the legal process so long. All right? And I've taught students whose parents are working in Kuwait and all this, Croatia, because in Kenya, the salary of a house worker, sometimes most of them are paid 5,000 Kenyan shillings. And 5,000 Kenyan shillings, when you come to dollars, we talk about, that is $40 a month. $40 a month. The highest are being paid $80 a month. And yet, you can look at school fees. School fees is so high, Life itself is so high. When I go with even, let's say, $40 to the supermarket, I can't buy enough for the month for a family. Rent in Kenya is so high, okay? Christian Eager is saying, including Ugandans have gone to Saudi, and it's hell. Our former maid went and came bad, but she developed a complex situation, which was incurable, and she died without knowing what killed her. So sad. It's true. And for my sister who worked in Saudi Arabia, I wish that she opened a channel and shared her experiences. She used the very first 3 months she went there. We were called and we were not able to reach her. So we had to call the office, the office at Riyadh. And we even threatened them. We told them our sister came there and we are not able to reach them. And if nothing is happening, we are coming. So, of course, we created a picture like we are so big. And anyway, we are informed legally. And so we made some points, 1, 2, 3. So these people listened to us, and they told us, no, she's just fine. It's only that she worked in the first house, and then when she left, because her contract is not over, we could not let her communicate and cause worries back at home. We told them it's wrong to pick a phone from somebody and hide it. So actually, they returned the phone on the day they were giving her a new job and called us, informed her, and we said it's okay. But if you think she's not supposed to work there, just let her travel back to Kenya. So since then, she could she decided not to work in one house for long. She could work for 1 month. In case of a problem, she comes back to the office, tells them, I want another house, until she finished 2 years, guys. I'm telling you. And she was very, we informed her about legal aspects of both Saudi Arabia and Kenya. And all along, there is a time another lady wanted to put a claim that she has burned the kitchen. Yet, the person who had burned the kitchen was the daughter of that home. They began to prepare some popcorns and left oil, in the kitchen. And she was washing clothes, then she heard something pop, 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 pop. Walking away to go check, she found the kitchen was almost burning down. So she went and beat the sufuria from the cooker, and it fell off to the, and she tried what she could. But then when the woman of the house comes, she wanted to, she called the police and was telling them my sister had burned the kitchen. My sister told them no, because my sister had now learned the Arabic language. She told them, no, you have to check the CCTV, because CCTV is in this house. How comes you are not checking when that is what is supposed to show what happened? So knowing the laws of both Saudi Arabia and your country is very important. But anyway, still we can see a lot of women are suffering in Saudi Arabia. Of course, today Citizen TV did some documentary trying to show the fact that we have women who have given birth to kids in Saudi Arabia. And because Saudi Arabia, they say they don't recognize such kids, those kids have not been registered. So they are growing up not registered, yet they are not allowed to travel back to their countries. It's some sort of slavery, it's some sort of slavery happening out there. So let's just check on this and see what is being shared here.
And hundreds of new mothers are stranded in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The women who are now forced to live in the streets of Jeddah and Riyadh in deplorable and dire conditions. According to Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi, the kingdom's strict laws have led to many of these children born out of wedlock registration. Here is Melita Oletenges with that report.
Kenya's Ministry of Foreign Affairs is facing mounting questions over the plight of Kenyans living abroad, the latest being reports that hundreds of Kenyan mothers and their children are struggling in parts of Riyadh and Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, after being denied registration for children born out of wedlock, which is illegal in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Given the huge population of Kenyans working in the country, the problem of mothers with undocumented children is prevalent, and the government is pursuing bilateral interventions. And this has been a subject of several parliamentary questions, by the way, from members of parliament whose constituents have been affected in one way or the other.
Fearing legal repercussions, many of the mothers are forced to deliver their babies at home. Without official certification, these children are left stateless, trapped in the streets of Saudi Arabian towns, unable to navigate legal systems or return home. Repatriation efforts, while ongoing, remain slow and largely insignificant.
Since its inception, the deliberate efforts have resulted in the safe repatriation of 59 mothers and 73 children back to Kenya.
Mudavadi further revealed that human trafficking remains a growing concern, with some Kenyans falling victim to fraudulent recruitment agents. Noted that over 400 Kenyans have reportedly been duped and left stranded without jobs abroad.
The saddest thing is that it is spiraling out of control as more victims are trafficked from Africa to as far as South America and Europe.
The ministry has also downplayed remarks made by Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni regarding Kenyans Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo, who are allegedly kept in a fridge, saying the statement should not be taken literally. President Museveni would...
Oh my God. I'm not using, I'm talking now. Yani toa wakati siongei. All right, so if we may look at that, therefore, who are we to blame for this? You know, in fact, the Kenyan population has been growing every year, and the Kenyan leaders know that. However, the looting in the government is just too much. I don't know whether they have any hearts to think about what the Kenyans undergo. It's actually very brutal. When you look at the leaders doing this, you know, you don't need billions to satisfy your family. If a family has even 700 millions, it's enough to keep the family wealth. But the leaders are looting left and right. We can see what is happening. Yesterday, you heard what the Archbishop of Kisumu said. And that is evident that a lot is happening in the nation. If you look at the acquitted also in cases of corruption, you understand the network and what is happening. We've had cases of money laundering and other very dirty businesses happening in the country. However, it's unfortunate that no one is trying to attempt to solve the problem of joblessness or even economic growth. As we are always cheated on the streets about the country being turned from third world to first world, the only problem we feel is every year we have a lot of graduates coming out of universities and yet they don't have jobs. We have also the unskilled laborers who are out there and don't have jobs. How I wish maybe our nation would have worked a strategy to begin irrigation schemes so that we have very many farms that would produce, let's say, rice, let's say coffee, let's say a lot of things, and then we have companies that can hire people. Because the narrative can be turned. The narrative can be turned. I don't know why we had to go for this housing aspect before we thought of even enhancing agriculture in a manner that we have very many schemes coming up and hiring people. Because people go out there to work on very terrible situations, you know, very inhuman situations. And the country can do better if they create industries and farms whereby Kenyans can work and they are paid decent salaries. And then we also work down our economy so that inflation is not eating into pockets. And once that happens, many people will not opt to go out. People only go out because of terrible situations they face. Like my sister actually went to Saudi Arabia after having done what we call nutrition, food and nutrition and beverage. Then she sat for 2 years without a job. So as we were trying to make her understand that she can survive, she told us now the only jobs I'm doing is like housekeeping and I'm only earning 5,000 in Kenya. What is the difference between that and when I go out there and earn better? And now the agents are also very atrocious. They pick almost half of the salary because like someone is going to earn 70,000, but the agencies pick half of it. So that is why agencies, sometimes they don't defend you. They keep you going right in those nations so that you continue making them earn that money every month. And that is why they also go for contracts of 2 years, 1 year, because they automatically have an assured flow of money. You know, so it's so serious. It's a network that is so serious. And of course, you look at those who are advertising and enticing people to go to those countries. They're just sitting in offices in their countries, whether it's Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. If it is such a lucrative job, why is it that these agencies, the owners are in Kenya or they're in Tanzania and they're sitting in offices having made their faces so beautiful with, YouTubes, and they are telling you, we can hire you. There are jobs in Kuwait with better pay. That means they already know the situation that they can't go, but they are getting this money through those people who are going every month. So they make sure they are trafficking, or even if it's through legal ways, even passports. These agencies, it's funny that the agents can acquire a passport for someone in 2 weeks. But just someone who is going through the straight way. I acquired my passport, and I remember I applied for it. I was told it will come after 2 months. After 2 months, it was not ready. After 3 months, it was not ready. I even gave up, but it came after around 7 months. Can you imagine? But these agencies, they are so much connected even to KRA. They are connected to immigration. They can create a passport for somebody in 2 weeks. They can also get to have certificates, birth certificates for people. They can even get IDs for people within a very short time. So it's a network of so many people eating from this channel, and that's why it's able to be sustained, you know? I don't know. Christian Iga says it's all about corruption. With housing, one can easily divert good money as opposed to agriculture. Yeah, I get it. So it's about selfish interests, you know? Selfish interests are actually driving our country into this. So as Musalia Mudavadi complains about trafficking, does he have a solution to the Kenyans? If only they close those doors for corruption, then people will have jobs. And very few people will have to go, and maybe they'll only go through legal ways. I've also seen a tendency of some regions getting the favor to go to Canada for greener pastures, or America through legal ways to greener pastures. But we have other regions, people struggle and they don't get it easy to travel. So people opt to go to these agencies, and those agencies only dupe them. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, actually. And people should be careful currently, because why should I lose my land in the promise of getting a job in, I don't know, Singapore, when in reality there is no such job? You would rather even settle with your land and continue tilling than sell your land, get a passport and money to travel, only for you never to get a job. I've seen even some teachers who lost their jobs in Kenya, only to go hang in some countries. I've also seen a situation of those who have gone and they are now fighting in the wars out there in Russia and all that. It's unfortunate. Christina Iga says the agencies can get these documents even in 1 day. Yeah, it's unfortunate, 1 day. And they'll ask even from that client, pay this amount of money and we can produce this, and they will. It's unfortunate. So let's come back to Kenya. Senator Onyonga has been sharing some matters, and he was criticizing the government, but he was proving that if the president can work within this period, then he can actually listen to him. But the statement has been turned by people who are now saying that he's now turned from 1 term to 2 term. I don't know why some people like misinforming. Personally, I don't like to misinform. I just like to say things as they are and analyze what they mean. So Senator Onyonga was in an interview. I remember I used some of those things, and they are here. Welcome, Christina Iga. I really appreciate it.
I'm willing to listen to what he says. I may end up believing in him, but I may not join him. My job is not to join government. My job is to raise the critical questions about governance in our country, and not necessarily. You see, there is this narrative, and you really come home with this. I am not criticizing government and telling government to behave for me to join. No, I already have a job. And I love my damn job. Can you imagine a job where you are paid to just tell somebody how they are poo-pooing on themselves? It's a beautiful job.
Really?
It is up to the mother and the parents to decide, and that child, whether they're going to remove the poo-poo or they're keeping it on themselves. I mean, my job doesn't need me to be given anything else.
There's not a metaphor you could
No, I don't have anything. I tell people, I don't want to join William Ruto's government. I would want to join, even if I found my mom was the president, I would be telling her, Mama, you are like Suluhu. You are running around like Suluhu. See what you are doing. Why are you killing people? That's what I would do.
Okay.
I mean, some of us, there are people who can be doctors, and some of them who can be Juakali guys. We all can't be doctors. You see, all of us can't be president. So people think that we are criticizing Ruto because we want money. I told somebody, if I haven't made money for being in politics for 30 years, then I ain't gonna make it. I should have made it. So in deeply held view is that I didn't get this job to make money. Otherwise, I would have made the money my first 5 years, started a factory, and I'll be making toys and toothpicks in Nairobi and I'll be a multimillionaire. I don't have that capacity. My capacity is to take the little education I have and analyze the issues the way we have them in my country. And the position I've taken is very simple. Some of us are going to be brave enough to say it the way it is. And it's not we are doing it because we are disparaging the president. No, he was given the mandate by the people.
Right.
But the fact that you've been given a mandate...
All right, guys, that is it. Sometimes when you critique things, people think like you have an interest, you hate somebody, you have personal problems. And I just think that when you are a critical analyst, whether you'll talk about politics, economic situations, social situations, whatever it is, you will see that that speck that has to be removed in an eye. And that is exactly what some people are. But there are people who are very uncomfortable. When you begin talking, they're like, yesterday I saw somebody on my channel and they were like, are you a Luo? You look to be, you seem to be very stubborn. I was like, what is my tribe or my your race or my whatever has to do with this? Someone comes and says, you have a big head. Can you go do something else? I'm like, what is the problem with my head and what I'm saying? It doesn't relate. I didn't come here to say I have a small head, so you have to tell me that you have a big or whatever head. So I just don't understand, because when some people are meant to be critical, we are critical. We are just critical because we are looking at things in a different phase. Our perspective does not allow us to be narrow-minded and just say it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, hallelujah, hallelujah. You know, we don't have that ability. The only ability we have is to look at things as they are and say, here, there is something wrong. And actually, if only people, for example, are listening to us fully, or rather, even if it's a channel, they would watch different videos from our end, it would be very fair, and they would understand that we are not there to target some specific individuals. We are there to target the ideologies and the actions and the reactions and whatever is happening in our community. We are not there to target somebody and say that this person is bad. We are targeting on their actions. Their actions are what is stinking, not them. Their actions are stinking, and we would rather have a better person later. But now it comes out and people are like, keep quiet. Will you keep quiet? Shut up. If you don't have what to say, find a job to do. My goodness. But it's unfortunate we can't change. We can't change ourselves and become somebody else. We can't. Anyway, Onyonga was very right in whatever he shared, and I think if many people would share his ideology, and also if leaders would listen to them and change in a positive way, then our country would be the best. Actually, our country would be the best. And we are just going into Mombasa, the ODM rally.
It doesn't mean that you treat us shoddily. You see, I don't want William to tell me that, oh, you know, I've done these wonderful things. That, no, I have eyes to see and have ears to hear.
Okay. We need to get back to that opposition politics in just a minute. But you've recently spoken about the games being played with presidential term limits and what's being pushed. What do you see there that the rest of us may not be seeing when people start suggesting 7 years? You know?
I'm going to take what they call a long curve. Throw a long curveball with you. Understand baseball?
Sorry for the commercial break. It happens, but it's also healthy for the YouTubers.
What is making African leaders become intransigent and become what they are becoming now is because, sadly, the way the American president is behaving. You see, previously, the Americans were the checkmates. The U.S. is the one who tell us, you know, behave yourselves. They make sure you take care of human rights. All right. The issue of race, which is the tribalism we have in Kenya. All these things were coming up. Now, what has happened is you have our presidents within our region deciding that they're the ones who are going to tell us what to do because they know everything. And the reality we have got is that Kenyans are saying, and I'll talk about Kenya today, is that Kenyans are saying, we know what is good for us. We want that is good for us to take place. But if you look at the governance structure that we have, where we have checks and balances, we have the executive, you have the legislature, and you have the judiciary. For the last 30 years, even after we thought we had actually succeeded, even with the new constitution, checks and balances are weak. And Kenyans forget very quickly. Do you remember when members of parliament, after President William Ruto told them how they are all thieves and crooks, and they go to State House to collect money, which is never shared amongst themselves?
The devolution.
Why was he telling them that? It's because our country has become basically a den where people share state largesse.
All right. And of course, this is in line with what Bishop of Ongija was saying yesterday, and the bombshells that Gachagua was dropping. So I don't know. When Gachagua speaks, then people say he's only angry. What about Onyonga? Is he angry? When Sifuna speaks, I don't know what they would say. But it's just unfortunate that people don't accept the realities of what's happening on the ground so that we make initiatives to change our systems. But if only citizens would see in one lane, they would actually see the realities as they are. Without looking at who is speaking, then maybe we would have a change. But then some people think they are beneficiaries, some think they don't have to talk about it, some think there's nothing to change, there's that disillusionment, and all that is a mix of what is messing us up in Africa, and then in Kenya, then in our constituencies, then in our wards, All right, so let's get to see the war that erupted in the parliament and see how Robert Mbui and Mawathe were kicked out for shouting Ruto one term. And let's listen to this.
Grossly out of order. That is gross misconduct. Standing order number 107. And in any case, you have attempted to remove the mace from its place, in which case I will expel you from the house. Orderly conduct, and contrary to standing order 107A, and in fact, one of them, you have attempted to remove the mace from its place in the chamber. And therefore, I have called honorable members, even when you went to make a point, you have to do it in an orderly fashion in conformity. Honorable Mawathe, you're also grossly out of order. Honorable Mawathe, you are part of trying to remove the mace from its place. You have offended standing order 107, so you are going to...
And approve the same with amendments.
Mover.
All right, so that was the moment of war that erupted in Parliament of Kenya as Robert Mbui and Mawathe were kicked out for shouting Ruto one term. Oh my God, I thought the Parliament is the only place you can do anything without being vindicated, but I think this aspect of order is what is actually the slogan of one term is not very suitable, palatable to many people. I think they need to coin something else. Now let's come to an end of our discussion by looking at ODM. Currently, ODM are in Mombasa, and I just want us to look at the state of events as it's going on. So we saw Governor Abdul Swamad welcoming the ODM supporters. We saw how Simba Arati and ODM leaders observed a moment of silence, and then Oburu Odinga and Sifuna, right there. And then Gladys Wanga confirmed as the NGC of ODM. Yeah, so let's just check this. Oburu Odinga speaking.
Thank you, Your Excellency,
And,
our party leader, Dr. Oburu
Wanga.
Our leaders here present, the delegates of this very honored party. I'd like to start first by saying that I am deeply honored and grateful to this National Governing Council of the ODM party for honoring me to serve in the position of National Chairperson of the party. This being the first time that a woman actually holds this high office of National Chairperson of the party, an honor that I do not take for granted.
What happened?
Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And in no particular order, we are going to hear from our deputy party leaders. Can we start with Senator Godfrey Osotsi, please, for a few Asanteni. Mnaweza kuketi.
Asante. Asante. I want to say very few words. Kwanza ningependa kurudisha asante sana for the honor. But if you are weak, nobody wants to talk to you because you are of no use to him politically. Politically, you are as good as your numbers. People ask you, what are you bringing on the table? What are you bringing on the table? If you are bringing nothing on the table, kakando. So you must bring something on the table, and the thing you have to bring in politics is numbers. So the death of Raila has given us the vision, first of all, to maintain the principles he stood for. The principles he held dear, which was fighting for justice. Raila fought for justice and was completely fearless in his venture for justice. I can remember sometimes I was shaken a bit when he told me that Oburu, we are going to be sworn in, I'm going to be sworn in as the people's president. And I told him, Bwana, oh, don't you think these people will charge you with the treason if fighting for justice will cost me my life?
So Oburu swears to actually maintain the principles that the party was found on based on what Raila Odinga was doing. And I don't know whether this is possible because you look at ODM, even as they swear to maintain the party together, there's still a lot of division. Anyway, let's look at Senator Sifuna also spoke here. Before we go to the Kaspul had a lot of problems.
Your Excellency, the party leader, my role now is to read out the notice to convene the meeting of a special National Governing Council. In accordance with Article 49, report on the appointment of the party leader on an interim basis. At its meeting held on 16th October 2025 at the Agile Grand Royal Hotel, Nairobi County, the National Executive Committee met in profound sorrow. Still, nini wale hawako tayari? ODM! ODM! Asanteni sana, asanteni sana.
Yeah, so of course, Sifuna just read some documents from the party. Of course, Saturday is the official 20 days, but tomorrow there'll be more events going on. And of course, as we wait for that, there is something about the Kaspul politics where so many people are injured. And I want us to get to that. There's something that happened there.
Wiki mbili kabla ya chaguzi ndogo kufanyika maeneo tofauti ambayo ni 24 humu nchini, visa vya ghasia vimeendelea kuripotiwa. Afisa wa polisi walifika nyumbani kwa mwaniaji wa ODM Boyd Were na kuwakamata washukiwa wanaodaiwa kuhusika na mauaji ya watu wawili wiki iliyopita. Maafisa watatu walijeruhiwa wakati wa makabiliano hayo, kama Gatete Njoroge anavyoarifu sasa.
Picha hizi nje ya lango la boma la Boyd Were, mwaniaji ubunge wa ODM eneo la Kasipul, Jumatano, zinawanasa maafisa wa polisi wenye silaha tayari kwa makabiliano. Maafisa hao walifika kuwaokoa wenzao waliowafuata washukiwa watano wa mauaji ya watu wawili wiki jana eneo la Opondo na ambao walitorokea nyumbani kwa Were.
The officers encountered very harsh resistance from young men who were armed with crude weapons. In the process, some of our officers were injured. Two sustained deep cuts on their heads and one on his left hand.
Ni baada ya kuvamiwa ndipo maafisa hao walilazimika kufyatua risasi kujiokoa.
The suspects who had been arrested were rescued.
Yeah, so it's quite serious that Boyd Were, the son, actually has out to be very violent. And of course, if he's keeping violent people, what is the connection between him and them? You know, this is what we have to ask, all right? So Bianca, Michael, welcome, welcome. We're almost finishing, left with very few minutes. So the other revelation is that the police force on the roads, I don't know why traffic police always collect money on the roads. I think that collection we undervalue it, but it must be a very good collection, because regardless of being arrested, last week we had some police officers who were arrested, and again today some police officers were arrested in Busia. Let's just follow this to check on what was happening.
Tume ya maadili na kupambana na ufisadi EACC imebaini mianya mikubwa ya utawala na rushwa ndani ya idara ya huduma ya polisi, ikitaka mageuzi ya haraka kurejesha imani ya umma. Tume hiyo ikimkabidhi Inspekta Jenerali wa polisi Douglas Kanja ripoti ya utendakazi wa polisi inayoonyesha jinsi rushwa ilivyokita mizizi, huku kitengo cha trafiki kikitajwa kuwa na kiu kikuu zaidi cha ufisadi.
Traffic police officers subject public to daily and routine level extortion, a practice that has been reportedly become institutionalized.
Idara ya trafiki ambayo kwa muda mrefu imehusishwa na hongo ilitajwa kwa ulahai wa hongo unaoelekezwa madereva wa magari ya umma.
Traffic police officers periodically collect predetermined protection fee, especially from bodaboda and Machakos. There are also allegations of targets given to these officers by their seniors.
Nasema ripoti hiyo inalenga kujenga uthabiti dhidi ya rushwa na si kuyaibisha idara ya polisi.
Yeah, and we hope that EACC is going to work very paramount in this. And of course, we saw that most of the officers on the roads collect. We see them. We see them automatically. If you have a camera, you would have picked a lot of them. But sometimes we just get tired with this. As the last story, of course, KCSE is ongoing. This is the second week. Yeah, the second or third week since they started home science, all those papers. And there's a lot of leakage happening and exam irregularities. It's unfortunate. I don't know why people would feel like helping children in exams would really be handy. I've seen a lot of students I taught, they did courses in colleges and they are really prosperous than even myself. And there are those who we learned with some students, they never even went, they only went to certificate courses and they have used their skills to make themselves better. So I don't know why people are battling with university, and even university currently is very expensive. Anyway, it is what it is. So let's listen to this last story as we close the day.
Zaidi wamekamatwa kuhusiana na wizi wa mtihani ya KCSE endelea humu nchini. 9 kati yao waliokamatwa leo ni wanafunzi na wengine wanajumuisha wasimamizi wa mitihani, mpishi mmoja na raia. Kufikia sasa watu 51 wamekamatwa kwa wizi wa KCSE tangu ulipoanza.
So how does a cook get engaged in exams?
Shule ya Oceania Junior Secondary School iliyoko kituo cha Shelly Beach, Mombasa inaongoza katika idadi ya watu waliokamatwa. kwa kuhusika na wizi wa mtihani. Waliokamatwa ni meneja wa kituo cha mtihani Edina Furaha Nelson na wasimamizi 5 wa mtihani. Aidha, mpishi wa shule hiyo Lina Owiti pia akidaiwa kuhusika pamoja na wanafunzi 6. Katika shule ya upili ya St. Cecilia, kaunti ya Bungoma, wasimamizi 5 wa mtihani walikamatwa. Na katika shule ya upili ya St. Anne's Sunrise iliyoko kaunti ya Migori, naibu meneja wa kituo Bernard Otieno na msimamizi George Oudo walinaswa. Wasimamizi 2 katika shule ya upili ya Agorosare pia walinaswa. Katika shule ya Friends Kaptola huko Bungoma, mtu mmoja ambaye hakuwa na shughuli yoyote ya kufanya shuleni humo alikamatwa. Wanafunzi waliokamatwa ni mmoja katika shule ya upili ya Magunga, mwingine katika shule ya upili ya Sangailu na 3 kutoka shule ya upili ya Sosiani. Melita Oletenges, Runinga Citizen.
Can you imagine ruining your career, ruining your life? You'll be forced to pay very heavy penalties, for no reason. When they put rules such as stay away from exam centers, myself, when the exam starts, I don't want even to step my foot in school, because if it's revision, I've done revision since term 1. If it is teaching, I taught since form 1. So what more am I going to actually offer to these students? But there is an art in which teachers think that they are the ones doing the exam because of rewards, because they want to gain the favor of the principal, they want to look like they are the favorites of the students. And most times they just ruin the lives of students, because I remember during our time, we never used to be given Kenyas, and we did very well. You could study in a day school mixed with very low marks and you come out with a C+ or a B+. But now currently you find students going with very many marks, and because of this culture, it makes students not to read. Students just wait to be helped or go with the Kenyas in the exam, and at the end of the day, they don't perform so well. It's unfortunate you find schools which are even extra county, schools where students should be scoring A- and B+. One A- becomes a celebration moment for the teachers when results come, and you look at them and you are surprised. Some of us who are critical, we look like we are not appreciative or happy for the students, but you just are in a shock, wondering what kind of results are these based on the entry behavior of the students. So anyway, I just pray that we also get the sanity, the fact that we should not see exams as death and life. There is life beyond that. Some of us went to universities and we don't live the best life that we would wish for. Yet there are those who went to colleges or certificates, or they just did skilled work like even saloon, and they're living their best. So life is not about exams and university. It's about how you really go about life itself. They always say life is beyond the exams. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate for 1 hour and 13 minutes that we've been here. And may God bless you. I always have to appreciate, because without you watching, then why would I be here? So I appreciate your presence. And I just understand, no one has sent me here. I'm not working for anybody or a party, but I'm just doing it for the sake of informative, critical. If you check on my channel, you'll actually understand why I am here. Because I always say, if I don't use my voice currently to handle matters which I can see and I can talk about, when I'm gone, what will I leave behind? At least the legacy I should leave should be that I used to talk about these things, and maybe at some point someone was touched or some things changed. So bye-bye for now. Have a good night for those who are going to sleep, and for those who are having a day, have a fine day, sweet, sweet moments for you. So I have to go to Live Saga, do another video, because I've not been able to do any video on that platform for 2 days, and I feel very guilty. Bye-bye for now. Meet you later.